Hey yo, what's good? What's going on, everyone? Everyone, welcome back to another video, man. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out, and all that other good stuff, man. Put a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of research into this loadout here. So please, please, please show love. Watch the ads, watch the whole video, and all that good stuff. Okay. Without further ado, let's hop into it. So as you see by the title of the video, man, we are actually going to be focused on the single target or boss, scenario of electricity might based DPS. And with that, we are going to be rocking the rifle weapon for rifle weapon taps. You can also go ahead and do the dual wield for the same weapon taps as well if you want to, since they are more specified to single target. But for those encounters where the boss does spawn up ads and whatnot, rifle's always good, and rifle is a lot easy to clip. Sometimes dual wield can be a little iffy here and there, but rifle is just a good all-around one that's pretty consistent. Now, in terms of our head socket, we are going to use supercharged circuit breaker. As you know, we're electricity, so circuit breaker is pretty much going to be a must for us. Now, you can make an argument for using word of power, but I would still argue personally that use circuit breaker. 55% damage increase, 15-second cooldown. It's incredible. Neo Venom boost is a 30-second cooldown and a 45% damage increase. So keep that in mind as well for those who I saw a comment or two in the past about why don't you use Neo Venom. That's why. Circuit breaker is just better and a faster cooldown. So in terms of our next, since we're on might base, we're gonna use escalating might for the additional might right there. Back, we're gonna use berserker since you actually go below that 35% threshold more than most people care to realize. And that, I almost went to the marketplace by accident. Apologies, y'all. But in doing that, whenever we do drop below that 35%, we're getting that 10% additional damage increase, which is absolutely major. And when you're in DPS competitions and you may get hit hard, you may have outrun your tank or whatever in the hallway, or maybe some ads spawn on you, you're getting whooped on, whatever the case may be. This right here, this mod helps you maximize the best of the situation. So for our chest, we use penetrating strikes. Penetrating strikes is pretty much going to be better and better than core strength. The higher DLCs, the higher tiers that we go through in the end game. Core strength's only really better than penetrating strikes in the very early stages of DC Universe Online. Legs, it does not matter because we're not going to be using Spark Barrage, Overcharge, or Attract in our loadout whatsoever at all. So hey, that's that. Feet, I have dashing combos more for my AoE / melee loadouts that I did in a previous video, so check that out. It's already up on the channel. And then you can also use Tumbling Master if you don't want to use this, or even Deadly Block if you're gonna maybe hold your range button and whatnot to do that block real quick. A little bit additional damage out there. Now, in terms of hands, we're going to use max damage. Every DPS should be pretty much using this one right here. And then for affinity mods, I always recommend that type C and D, the last two mods right there, that require more piece of elite gear, are going towards your support role, just because there's almost no good ones for DPS. You can kind of make an okay one with type D being Surefoot and type C being that aggressive protection. But if you're a might DPS, you're not using a weapon bust, so aggressive protection is kind of useless for you. And thus type C, there's not really any good viable options that you would really be like, oh yeah, let me definitely use this. So with that being said, type A and B are ones that you want to focus on, especially with the OP pieces. If you have those go ahead and fully maxed out, then you should at least get type A. And you really just want to get both on might, since we're might based. If you're precision, get precision. In terms of our trinket setup, tier 3 pet, check Obsidian Chill's video if you want to know the highest one. I'm not making a video about it right now, so check his out if you want that information. I use Motherbox. It's not the highest, but I think it's like top 3 highest tier 3 pets out right now. You got a buff trinket from the vendor, just like you always want to make sure your weapons from the vendor is the highest one possible. So hey, make sure you go ahead and grab that. Make sure you're not capped out anywhere, and maximizing your buffs. Henchmen, I use mummies for this particular DLC, since we're in the Black Adam DLC is the latest one out currently to date at the time of this recording. Now, whatever DLC you are running, I recommend you go ahead and do that. So maybe it's the Dark Knight's contents, use the Bat Bots. Maybe it's that's more PvP right there. They stun like crazy, by the way. One diverse, use the, I don't even know how to say these. Spark Toy, or something like that. Ones, etc., etc. Okay. For the 4 slot, I like to go ahead and have my Orbital Strike just in there just in case, with my Decking Scepter on standby to go ahead and swap in and out as need be. Then my Philosopher's Stone and Supply Drop also ready to replace my Orbital whenever need be as well. Then we have Mercy Artifact and Eye Gemini, Scrap Soul Cloak, and our dual wield in case, different scenarios as they arise. Mercy for when we summon our tier 3 pet to do more additional damage. Just quickly swap in and out the artifact. Eye Gemini for that little bit of field and stat buff from it to do more damage. Scrap the Soul Cloak if we're just really need to mass produce our supercharge as much as possible, especially if the EOG healer is not in the group. You may at sometimes be more inclined to actually use Scrap Soul Cloak over Eye Gemini if there's no kind of EOG spam healer or tank or anything like that in the group and you're starting to lag behind the damage. You might need to say forget the Eye Gemini, go Scrap Soul Cloak so you're able to at least hit your supercharge a few more times throughout the entire encounter. And then we have dual wield here just on the safe side. Maybe we need to be more single target focused as opposed to more, AoE / single target, in between. Ooh. My sidekick was over here throwing a fit, I see. But let's go ahead and talk about our allies. You want to use crypto. It's highest one. Second highest is House of Legend bots, so that's definitely on you, but I go ahead and choose crypto. Now for all around, pretty safe, pretty reliable build. Use Emperor Aquaman to reduce the combat ally cooldown, so we can crypto a few more times. Pretty much like a whole free orbital strike essentially all over again. But it's pretty nice, both single target wise. And in doing that, we're also able to get our buff for our combat ally, which fully maxed out is going to be 6% might and 3% precision for 30 seconds, which is a lovely thing to have all around. Now, if you are going to roll around more, definitely go ahead and use Death Note of Batman for Cloak of Ensnare to get that 10% might, 5% precision, and 40% defense buff there. It's on 30-second cooldown, so same general time frame there. If you just want something all around, you don't have to really worry too much. You could replace Emperor Aquaman out with the Batman Who Laughs. You won't maximize Shazam here, but at least you'll have consistent buffs, whether it be your stats, your power generation to keep going, crit chance to hit harder, or health to get that, excuse my dog in the background y'all, or health to get that buff troll to go ahead and give you a little bit more of your damage stats, whether it be might or precision on this artifact. Now if you are also needing another alternative, you can also use Hear My Call for Emperor Aquaman if you are going to be using, like we have in our build, Robot Sidekick, your tier 3 pet, your henchman, etc., etc. When you take damage, and if you know you're going to take damage, you at least help them out by giving that additional 10% damage increase there. Now in terms of our actual spec, our weapon is going to be pretty much simple. Just come down with Rifle Mastery. That's if you have pretty much over 500 skill points, then you pretty much have a good basis of enough skill points to do something like this, just so it does a little bit more increased damage for your rifle taps. Same thing will apply if you pick dual wield to use. Okay, super speed or your movement, I do recommend, and this is going to be a non-super speed variation of the loadout, so hey, you don't have to worry about anything there. I apologize for hitting the mic, but pretty much you just want to get your go fast ability here at top that requires level 9, and then get your breakout recoveries and resistances there, just to make sure that you're always having a good consistent uptime to be able to use your abilities, use your moves, and keep pushing out that damage. Now you can make an argument for speed drain if you're trying to pop the EOG a little bit more times frequently in between circuit breaker, back and forth kind of deal, and you may need like a more medium range, as opposed to when we come to Iconic Powers using Pheromone Bloom for a close range, do the same thing. Now if you have a very good maybe 2 even EOG spam healers, or maybe a healer and a tank that's EOG spamming, you can do a Neo Venom and circuit breaker, back and forth kind of deal, or even a Word and Power and circuit breaker kind of deal, since it will increase your crit damage and crit chance there, as you see. Now, the only real things you want to get out of here, you don't need all these extra ones. I just got those for testing purposes. But you really want to get Robot Sidekick and your Super Strength, once again, if you're probably over the 500 skill point range. Okay, in terms of our stat points, my apologies, y'all, for misspeaking on that. We're going to go ahead and use the Superpowered Focus, then get our crit attack chance, crit attack damage, dump everything in mind power, and then you have anything left. I do a pretty normally even split between precision and health for survivability, and increased buff for our buff trolls to give us back of our damage stat, and precision for her weapon taps. Now I still like to go ahead and get my pretty much usual one stat in restoration, fight, and dominance. Dominance to stun the enemy if need be and things of that nature. Fight so I get a little power back so I can keep going, and restoration just in case if I'm using like arc lightning or something like that. Now in terms of the actual loadout, this is going to be for more single target to maybe 2 targets, okay? But single target nonetheless. It's going to be amplified heat vision, electrogenesis, Tesla blast, ionic drain, robot psychic, and circuit breaker. Now we're actually going to get amplified heat vision, which I believe I went over this already, due to our solar amplifier. But transformation card and strategy card is some that we're going to pair with it as well for our more boss encounters or single target damage. Okay. Now, if we want to make this more an AoE friendly, maybe there are 2 enemies, 2 bosses that you're facing, I definitely recommend you go ahead and replace Tesla Blast with Voltaic Blast. It's a good alternative since it does hit AoE, and it hits about the same as Tesla Blast. Okay, so that's something that you definitely consider right there. Now, if you are hitting, let's say, like 4 enemies plus in a boss phase, definitely throwing the arc lightning, throwing that Tesla ball. If you want to, maximize the most damage for that. Now you could, if you're okay with losing a little bit of supercharger generation in terms of just more raw damage output, still put electrogenesis back in, even if you're in that 4 or 5, bosses range, like let's say Source Wall, or a scenario like that, maybe even Phoenix Cannon too, then you can still just use Arc Lightning, use Electrogenesis, and Amplify Heat Vision with Ionic Drain, Robot Psychic, Circuit Breaker, okay? But in terms of our loadout here, we're going to be using this right here. Now, we are going to be using Electrogenesis over something like Tesla Ball, because Electrogenesis is a better dot for lower amounts of enemies, all the way up to about like 5 enemies, I would say. Well, just a single use. Now, Tesla Ball can be a better dot when there's more enemies. So I would say 5, 6 enemies plus. And if you're using Tesla Ball, more than once in the 10-second, parser, then it does hit more than Electrogenesis does for 5 enemies. But if you're just using it one time only, then Electrogenesis by far takes that cake. Okay. And for our purposes, and this right here, we're going to be using Electrogenesis for that more single target and low amounts of ads. Okay. Now all we're going to do is pretty much go left to right and then alternate Tesla Blast in between our Amplified Heat Vision and Ionic Drain. It looks pretty much like this. Heat Vision, Electrogenesis, Tesla Blast, Ionic Drain, Tesla Blast, Heat Vision, Tesla Blast, Ionic Drain. Now it's going to kind of start off slow because we definitely need that strategy card to go ahead and proc back up. Now once it procs up, I've been able to get this loadout here in the 140s plus range of that is 1,000 per second now. And if you get more accustomed to the loadout and the feel of like going back and forth between Ionic Drain and Heat Vision here, then you can definitely sneak in a rifle tap in between each one. Now be careful when it comes to Ionic Drain, because if you do a weapon tap, it actually gets you out of the animation and stops the ability altogether. So be prepared to go into the next one if you are doing that. Let's see, we're already over that 100k, 115. We just need more of our Amplified Heat Vision to go ahead and crit, our Tesla Blast to crit to maximize it, and then our Strategist card to crit. If those 3 things crit, majority of them, then it is going to be a phenomenal loadout and phenomenal damage that you're going to see. Now definitely take consideration that we're going to be using Circuit Breaker, our trinkets, allies, buff colas, etc., and the rotation and actual real content. But as far as this demonstration I'm giving y'all right here, this is without any buffs whatsoever at all, any trinkets, any allies, any of anything. So take that in consideration when looking at these damage numbers here. And a lot of stuff is not playing very nice to me and critting, so we also have to take that in consideration, okay? But look, try the loadout for yourself and try the variations depending on what you are running in terms of content. Let me know in the comment section down below if you have any critiques or criticisms. I've tried numerous different loadouts for numerous different play styles and scenarios. So I do feel like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this right here. Special electricity is my favorite power. So I make it a point to know about it. See, that didn't crit, so we're probably going to get a little bit lower partial with the next one. Now it's still in the 131. See, we're getting up there slowly but surely. Stuff just has to crit and have a pretty decent crit distribution to go well with this. But actually, it's still pretty consistent, pretty good damage, all things considered. But look, without further ado, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out to everyone. If you know anyone special that is coming into the new DLC, Shock the System Stack Shock DLC, electricity-based power stuff, and they're new to electricity, give them my videos, man. Let them see what some good loadouts will do for them. I do a little bit of DPS competitions. Sometimes in those competitions, I'm testing these loadouts. So these loadouts have stood quite a few competitions. Some other loadouts I have lost with, but the ones I present to y'all are the ones that are the winners, okay? But without further ado, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out, watch the ads if you want to support the channel, and give me any video ideas or constructive criticism in the comment section down below. If you have any kind of tips or tricks or maybe an additional loadout that I have not considered or tried or tested, or if you've ever seen put out there at whatsoever at all, let me know in the comment section down below as well, and I'll go ahead and test that and make a revision to this video if need be. Without further ado, peace and shalom.